I plan to shave on Monday, but yeah. So I got to Apple Music or whatever it's called, and there's this My Mix basically, right? Harry's Station, right? That's my name, Harry. And what I decided I'd do was I'd give a sort of pastiche of each of these. Not a pastiche. Pastiche is the wrong word. I just use words and I don't know what they mean because I don't care. But anyways, a sort of vignette of each of these bands. Let's see. So what does it start with? Um, Race for the Prize? Was that the first song? No, I played that myself. But Flaming Lips. Let's try to keep these down to like 30 seconds, right? Flaming Lips. It's like a psychedelic band. They have this one album that looks sort of like that yellow monster guy from Mega Man, and they kind of have that psychedelic sort of like blues flashback sound that you can also hear in bands like uh, whoever did Lady Flash. That song is pretty cool. That kind of sound. Or Black Tags, Stripes. Okay, then Black Keys. Just by Radiohead. You know, Radiohead is Radiohead. It's sort of that, like, very art rock sound and very artsy and British and neurasthenic sounding, sort of very philosophical and about Tom York's, sensitivity. It's very Bjorky, maybe even. The Beatles. I Want You. She's So Heavy. Now, the Beatles are an honestly pretty good band. My impression of the Beatles is that they're the first fuckboys to ever exist. Um, and I also like the pataphysical dimensions of like Maxwell's Silver Hammer. You know, the wackiness, the nonsensicality. It's pretty fun. The Beatles are pretty fun, especially the sort of like I prefer Paul McCartney personally. Let's see. After the Beatles is God fucking damn it! Why did you move? After the Beatles, and I'm running out of time for this next one, is Stone Temple Pilots. I haven't listened to much of them, but I do like the Interstate Love Song. That's a good song, I guess. But generally, they maybe just listen to like the Neil Young proto grunge albums. Rage Against the Machine, The Ghost of Tom Joad. The previous song was Silver Gun Superman. Uh, Now, I really like Rage Against the Machine's sort of cover album, personally. Like, a lot of people don't like it, but I like a lot of the songs on it. And even though it shows that, you know, rock is too derivative of other rock, I still like it. And Tom Morello is cool. Cram, Three Trapped Tigers. This is like a math rock song, and it goes like some shit like that. It's pretty fucking tight. Just fucking listen to it if you feel like it. Math rock can be pretty fucking awesome, but I'm a sort of a singles guy. I'm a poptimist with rock. The Fall, New Face in Hell. So I was probably asleep by the time this song came on. Uh, but I mean, The Fall. What did The Fall even do? They did Can I Stay or Could I Go Now? Did they do that one? It's a band. Like, this guy Win in high school, he liked them. Let's see, Sonic Youth, Chapel Hill. Now, Sonic Youth's discography I've tried to kind of like go across, but I sort of prefer certain albums, like the one with the candle on it or their EP. I find their albums are a bit kind of like very different sounds. So either because of me not knowing what they're getting at or not being in the right mood, I was kind of like, for a lot of them. Gorilla Toss, Jesus Rabbit. Gorilla Toss is one of my favorite new rock bands because they have this very psychedelic sound that sounds original. It sounds kind of angular in the math rocky sense, but it also has that same sort of pataphysical dimension as like the Beatles. So I like it, and it just the sounds they have are like so modern and shit. It's cool. XTC making plans for Nigel. Ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da. We're only making plans for Nigel. Now, this is a cool song. No doubt. And it's pretty fucking tight. Just, XTC is like Zolo, sort of just cool. Sort of like Gorilla Toss in a way, but just like more of that retro sound, but unrepeated. REM, Gardening at Night. So REM, they're sort of like U2, but a bit better. They're not really like U2, but they have a similar way they kind of like innovated a sound that, is like poppy and weird, but I like them. They're sort of queer. Smashing Pumpkins, XYU. Now, Smashing Pumpkins, it has a certain like narcissistic feel to it that's almost like glammy that I like, but also like a parody of glam, sort of like Marilyn Manson. So like, I haven't listened to much of their stuff like intentionally, but I like their stuff generally. That's all I can say. Weirdly, People, System of a Down. Now, System of a Down is just like a wacky as fuck band, fun as shit, very pataphysical. I keep fucking saying that word, but just like very random and even randomly random. It's like you have '60s bands that are like shock you like a monkey, and that's like random. But randomly random is kind of like when you go into like, hey Mr. Jack, that sort of song. Uh, Joy Division, Disorder. I feel like this is very innovative with respect to like, how hollow you can make something sound. It's very fun and something, in and of itself. Like a mood apart. I feel like it's like a new kind of rock music, emotionally. My Bloody Valentine, Cupid Come. And this new type of rock music led to stuff like My Bloody Valentine, which I haven't listened to much of their other albums, but I love Loveless because it makes me feel so loveless and like a bleeding heart, bleeding forever is what, and drowning on itself and being warmed by itself. So My Bloody Valentine is cool as shit. The Smiths, Heaven Knows I'm Miserable Now. Uh, you know, Smiths is sort of like REM. They're also like jangle pop, and they have that sort of guitar sound, but it's not like country influenced guitar, which is REM, but rather, I don't know. It's kind of like a surf rocky sound almost, like Dead Kennedys. But yeah, Johnny Marr is a cool guitarist. Um, Road to Nowhere, Talking Heads, and we know where we're going. I'd say they're sort of like System of a Down because they're like wacky in that sort of way. And yeah, cool band, cool influences, cool shit like that. What else can I say? Autism, definitely very autistic. Um, let's see, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Can't Stop. Red Hot Chili Peppers took that sort of like funky dimension of the Talking Heads and they made it more like bro-y. Um, Not saying they were like inspired by the Talking Heads because I know like they started around the same time, but like throw away your. It's just fun, Sometimes a bit derivative, sort of like Weezer. Sometimes a bit like too normy, but yeah. Um, Jimi Hendrix, Crosstown Traffic. Jimi Hendrix is fucking tight. Fucking, Jimi Hendrix. It's Jimi Hendrix. He played guitar with his teeth. What else can I say? It's fucking Jimi Hendrix, huh? It's Jimi Hendrix. Do you want me to say anything other than it's fucking Jimi Hendrix? He's fucking Jimi Hendrix. It's like saying Muhammad Ali. Like, it's fucking Jimi Hendrix. Come on, it's fucking Jimi Hendrix. Okay? It's Jimi Hendrix. Frederick, Tarinai I. It seems to have repeated overnight because I fell asleep to this. But Frederick, I like them. They're a zany Japanese band, and they also have like that emo sound to them, but they've infused it with a Japanese like oddness, which is I don't know. Japan is just weird. Japan. Fleetwood Mac, Dreamed. Fleetwood Mac, it's like soft rock. It's sort of its time. I was listening to like Steve Miller. What's that? They call me a space cowboy. They call me an love. Woo woo! A lot of pop rock came out in like the 70s. I'm making a video about this playlist that I have. Yeah.
Oh, pop rock.
Yeah. The Psychedelic Furs. Have you ever heard the Psychedelic Furs?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of like psychedelic. But they're also like, weren't they 90s?
80s.
80s. Yeah, they have a sound.
Did they do that song Pretty in Pink?
I don't know. They did this song Fall apparently, but it came on in this playlist, which is a lot of bands I listen to a lot, but I don't listen to Psychedelic Furs that much. New Order, State of the Nation. I think New Order is sort of like like a lot of British music, like Muse, the band Muse, moved more towards like dance music, which is interesting. Which I wonder if that's like why there isn't as much rock music, because a lot of bands, you know, both in America and Britain, who might have done rock music are doing like dance and like rap music now. Jackson Brown, Doctor My Eyes. Mom was talking about like how she's sort of like sick of Jackson Brown. I don't know, and stuff like that. Yeah. No, but she likes him, but she's kind of really like play him too much.
Oh, so it's not just me, it's because they play him too much.
Yeah. Television, Marky Moon. I've played you that song before, I think. And, it's the one that goes like and like I don't know, they have that like art punk sound. They're more kind of it's almost prog in nature, but it's prog in nature, but it's not quite as like virtuosic. Vampire Weekend, Blake's got a new face. I think Vampire Weekend, like people saw it as this like twee college rock, but they kind of yeah, and they see it as like Peter Gabriel or like Paul Simon as like sort of cultural appropriation. But I feel like I just kind of like how it sounds, and I think of like African music, like
Who are we talking about now?
Vampire Weekend.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they have like the song Cape Cod Kwasa Kwasa.
They're from Israel, aren't they?
I don't think so.
Or at least one of them is.
I think one of them is Jewish. He directed an anime.
They're from New England?
Yeah, he was an English teacher.
Oh.
But I think like a lot of people criticize them for being like white and like college people, but I think they're cool. I think a lot of people have like, you know, first impressions of people and try to like kind of cling on to that.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it if like people are like, "Oh, I don't like it because it's not like legit African music." But it's like kind of saying cultural appropriation is different from saying like, oh, I just don't like it. Uh, Sweet Trip Air Supply. So Sweet Trip is like a sort of shoegazy, huh? Yeah, Air Supply. They're like a shoegazy band, but they have a lot of like electronic influence. That's a band, Sweet Trip.
What's Air Supply?
It's the song name.
Oh,
Oh, I'll get it. You entertain the audience by talking about some like music shit.
Are you broadcasting right now?
No, I'm just recording a video. Entertainment.
Okay, I didn't know this was being recording. So you were getting commentary from a Gen X, and I look bad. Didn't not feeling it today. I'm not feeling well. Yeah. So, but he said Air Supply, which is a song. But I thought he was talking about Air Supply, the band. You see, because in the late '70s you had Air Supply. I'm all out of love. I'm so lost without you. So it's like soft rock kind of thing. Yeah, so that was Air Supply, but that was different. So you might consider that. I don't think it would be considered yacht rock, soft rock, probably. Yeah. Okay.
What were you talking about?
Air Supply, the band.
Oh yeah, that is a band, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Sweet Trip is like kind of rock, indie sounding rock with like a glitchy electronic element to it, sort of like the modern like hyper pop music like Charlie XCX and Sophie. So it's sort of very innovative in that respect. Sort of Electric Flash, but not Electric Flash. I'm getting too much lingo in here. Okay. Jeff Rosenstock, Darkness Records. One of my favorite songs. Jeff Rosenstock has a very narrative element to his music, and in particular, I find him to be an interesting person. He talks a lot about relationships and interpersonal relationships and the difficulty in keeping them up, which I find to be a relatable theme because it's fucking hard as shit. Phantom Planet, always on my mind. This is Chad Blake is in this band. I like this song. It's like, she is always on my mind. Fun song. They also did California, which is about California. They're kind of like the best of minivan rock. Like the sort of, what is another example of minivan rock? It was minivan rock. This video must be like meaningless to someone. Hanging on a moment. Story of a girl. Avril Lavigne. This is terrible. Oh yeah, Take a Picture. That's a great video. But what's the most popular? Let's see. Weedest Teenage Dirtbag. That's true. Pinch Me by Bare Naked Ladies. Pink, Just Like a Pill. I don't know how that one goes. Stacy's Mom. That's a good one. Closing Time. She's So High by Tall Bachman. She's so high, high above me. She's so lovely. Yeah. But yeah. No, close that. Okay. What's next? Cities of Eve. He's kind of like glitch hip hop. Apparently, he was in a hardcore band at first, and I don't know. His things are just very lush. They have a certain maybe even like vaporwavy quality to them, but it precedes vaporwave because I think it's like it has that retro sound, but like very new, like come to life, come to life, come to life, come to life, come to life. It has a it sounds a lot like 3 6 Mafia, but instead of like haunting, it's just soothing and sort of it has like a chipmunk soul like Kanye West element to it, right? With like the soundscapes, but they're less, reconstructive, more an original construction, sort of like JPEG Mafia. But I think compared to JPEG Mafia, it's more ethereal, less like being, uh, abducted by aliens, which is JPEG Mafia. Uh, Dean Blunt, 50 Cent. Dean Blunt is one of I think my favorite musician. Uh, yeah, he's my favorite musician, I think, because he just has like this the extremely wide range of like genre and sound, which overall goes into this sort of hypnagogic pop sort of thing of just like classical and hip hop and like rock and sort of just a melange of it's like fucking like music. Like it's just fucking music, dude. Circus Mort. I do not know what Circus Mort is. I have no clue, but apparently it looks like a skeleton or something. That's Circus Mort. That's probably not clear as a picture. But yeah. The seconds are off. I'm gonna wait till it gets to 22 minutes and 30 seconds till I talk. Zach Hill, Second Life. So Zach Hill is part of Death Grips, and he just has like hella cool drums. He's part of Hella too, and it's just like fucking noise rock and shit like that. And in a way that is kind of like it feels individual, at least to me, right? Maybe because it was the first I listened to, but it feels not too angsty, but like cool as shit. Hop Along, Bed and Pop Stars. Hop Along is sort of like Jeff Rosenstock, but a bit more poetical in disposition. They sound more like folksy, and it's great music for like a car trip. Uh, just very verdant and open and free sounding, and Francis Quinlan has a very great voice, very beautiful voice. Pixies, Levitate Me. I haven't listened to much of the Pixies, but I heard they do that kind of like quiet, loud, quiet dynamic that a lot of rock music does since like the 90s and Nirvana. And that's a cool dynamic. But I like Un Chien Andalusia and Debaser, but generally their sound is kind of like angsty, and that's kind of like, uh, Husker Du. Uh, Another one of these kind of like post-hardcore bands, and I don't know, it seems a bit one note. I agree with that guy, the punk rock MBA, that a lot of these bands are not quite hardcore, but they're kind of like, pretentious things Pitchfork writers like. Not any judgment on the band, just kind of saying what I like. Swans, Eden Prison. Swans is fucking Michael Gira, fucking insane guy. Sniffed paint, did inhalants, ran away, went to Israel. Shit like that, kind of speaks for itself. He's one of those like weird like Frank Zappa types, and his his lyricism is just like disgusting in the coolest way. Breakwater, Release a Beast. I haven't listened to much Breakwater, but this is a cool ass song, especially at like twice speed. And Daft Punk sampled it in a way that was kind of like lame. But you know, all samples are probably somewhat lame to like someone who likes the original song better. Release a Beast, get up. Yeah, very danceable song. Even Last by Porcupine Tree. Um, you know, Porcupine Tree has a whiny white boy lyricism that I like because it's about being kind of like introverted and very conceptual and sort of detached from emotion. And I think you can tell that's like this fucking retard what he does, pointing to myself. My Bloody Valentine again. We already covered them. Have a Nice Life. Waiting for Black Metal Wrecker, and it cuts off after that. It's too long. I should listen to that album again. It's that picture. I think that looks similar. It looks like it might be a Francisco Goya painting. Uh, and it just has this like very dank ambient sound. It's kind of great. Uh, then Neutral Milk Hotel under that. Neutral Milk Hotel. It's almost like it's like again Hopalong and Jeff Rosenstock, but it's just weird as shit, and I like it, and it's one of my favorite albums. Um, just cool as shit, done mad sexual style. YO Holy Holy. So they did the song on Walking Dead Civilian, where Rick and Shane are going back home with Randall, and it plays while Shane watches this zombie, and it's sort of about, you know, how we kind of play characters throughout this life. It's a very introspective song, if I do say so myself. Um, Slint, Nosferatu Man. Uh, One of my favorite albums again, but different, maybe of a different clade. It's more hardcore. It's almost not quite. It's spoken word, so it's about a person, but it's much more narrative. It doesn't quite sound individual. It sounds more like someone telling the story, but also being the story at the same time. So it's weird. It has, I think, the alienation, which is like you can get it anywhere in rock. You know, everybody's fucking alienated and shit, but it's just done with a sort of, you know, thoughtfulness that at the same time doesn't sound pretentious. It sounds, you know, calculated in an uncalculated way. That's fucking retarded. What is Radiohead, Joy Division, covered them. Chelsea Wolfe, 16 Psyche. She has kind of an ethereal wave, sort of, what do you would call it? Metal, doom metal sound. And it sounds cool, right? Kind of ambient and shit like that. Droning up above. It's sort of like being at war. It's cool. Pissed Jeans. No clue what that band is. Boring Girls. They sound sort of like a noise rock band, is all I can really say. But I don't know. They have this picture which looks sort of like, I don't know. You can't see it at all, but it looks sort of like what I'd see in like a Spanish textbook, like for learning Spanish. And U2, Beautiful Day. It's a cool song. I like a couple of U2 songs. I don't know if I've listened to any of their albums. It feels like Bono is sort of preachy and a bit pretentious about religion and shit like that. But, yep. Bjork. It was Bjork who was saying is sort of like Radiohead in that they both have this sort of like electronic, introspective quality to them. They're both probably INFPs, uh, and they both approach things. Well, Bjork is slightly different from Radiohead because while Radiohead, you could say, is kind of like the Kendrick Lamar of rock music. What the fuck did I just? Why did I just say that? Bjork is more like I don't know, the Erykah Badu of trip hop. I don't even know what the metaphors are anymore, but yeah, she's more like a flower child and shit like that. But she's also like not not in like a hippy dippy way, but in a cool way, like especially Volnicera, the 9/11 album, whatever it was, with a heart. Uh, Tool, Jimmy. Tool is Tool is Tool. Tool is very pretentious and not pretentious at all. It's just kind of like fun psychoanalytic shit, you know? Who doesn't like psychoanalysis and being like, your penis is like a penis and it's fucking cool and it's like shit, dude. Like shapes, geometry. The Mars Volta, Cassandra Gemini. It's a cool song. Um, just fucking awesome song, actually. I think if Jimi Hendrix is the best guitarist of all time, then Omar Rodriguez Lopez is like the second best guitarist of all time. Something like that. Um, Audio Slave, Show Me How to Live. Audio Slave is cool. You know, Tom Morello is on it. They have a very bluesy sound, and it's a sort of sound that makes you think of uh, listening to music or something. I think The Vanishing Point is a music video for it, the classic road movie. Uh, Death Head, Khaki King. Khaki King, I think, has a very unpolished sound that I like. Do 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 do, and she very much focuses around just guitar. I like her as like a solo artist because I think she doesn't sound too like stripped back, but you can also tell she's like in charge of her music. Um, Starshine, LSD in the Search for God. I don't know what LSD in the Search for God is, but it sounds like a psychedelic band. I can say that much. Um, the album cover is a finger with a tab of acid on it, and the finger looks like it's in like the light of an oil lamp or something like that. Yep. Look at that. Starshine. Then Fear of Flying by Bowie Electric. Now if Sweet Trip approaches glitch from shoegaze, what Bowery Electric is they approach shoegaze from trip hop, and it's a very interesting sound, and it shows that electronic and rock, aren't really all that dissimilar at places. Cool song. REM, Six Finger Satellite. I don't know what Six Finger Satellite is, but the Great Depression? I don't know. But let's talk more about REM and maybe about these other songs from bands I don't know in a different video. REM is cool. It's the end of the world as we know it. Pavement. I feel like Pavement inspired a lot of grunge, but also a lot of shoegaze. I think I remember seeing that in a video, but it could have been Dinosaur Jr. that I'm thinking of. I don't know, a lot of these bands seem the same. They're like punk rock, sort of hardcore. Those names are meaningless, of course, but like, just cool guys, sort of alt rock adjacent, Pixies adjacent, uh, loud music, cool music. Remo Drive, name brand. They have one good album apparently, and nothing after that. So that's a shame. But I haven't actually listened to their other albums, so I don't know if it's good or bad. But you know, they sort of sound emo. They sort of sound unique. They have a kind of kiddish charm, which we lost with when Blink 182 and Sum 41 crashed into the Pacific Ocean. Uh, Vampire Weekend again, the Shins. I haven't listened to many Shin songs. I know do 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 do. My impression is they're okay, I guess, based off that song, but they're sort of like very indie rock, almost like you belong with me, I belong with you. You are my sweetheart. You know, not even quite rock anymore. Not that that's bad, but not rock. You know. Hop Along. I saw my twin. Now, Hop Along. Oh, I already talked about him. Elliott Smith, Rose Parade. Elliott Smith died, and that's cool. But he has that sort of like lo-fi quality and sort of like singer-songwriter, kind of whiny. But he's very unique because he's not like, you know, boring whiny, but he's fun whiny. Like he's actually gonna kill himself. This is fun. Um, God, that was psychotic. Bad Religion, Sorrow. Bad Religion, I like No Control. It's a good album. They're kind of like Green Day adjacent. They have like mad riffs, mad hooks. You know, they're the kind of Gojira of punk rock, sort of. You know, very good riffs, very good speed to it and shit. Muse, Apocalypse Please. Now, Muse has a lot of conspiracy theories, and it feels like they kind of tried to move rock and electronic direction, but I don't know. They seem just kind of obsessed with conspiracy theories to the extent that they don't feel like they could be, or like any rock bands. There's too many like too many rappers, not enough rock bands, and like, why do you want to listen to rock anyway? You know, if it's just Muse talking about drones. Uh, let's see, Caro Carabinito Dump. This is why you don't have to listen to rock music because you have people on trampolines doing anime shit, right? So Caro Carabinito, just very cute band, but also very fun electronic sounds with a sort of sunshine pop aesthetic. The Microphones, The Glow Part 2. Uh, I listened to the whole album, and I don't know, I'm kind of mad about it. It's like, take or leave it. Microphones, it's the album with the elephant on it, right? Over here, the elephant. And it's just kind of lo-fi, boring rock music. No judgment. Porcupine Tree, Bloody Valentine, Hatchy, The Rhythm. Yeah, I like this song. It's a cool song. It has this sort of, what is it, like alt rock? Sort of dream pop sort of sound, but with like a sort of like house piano arpeggiation and stuff like that. Do 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 do. And it, I don't know. I want rock and electronic to be fused so badly. Um, Kieran J. Callahan telling me this. He's a cool as fuck artist. He kind of like does it all by himself, sort of like Kaka King. Um, he has like these single man shows where he plays all the instruments and he like puts them on loops and stuff like that, which I think is kind of like the viability of like single man rock artists. Um, and his songs are just kind of very folksy, but also very punk. Um, Australian. Hella. I was talking about Hella. It's a band from Zach Hill, but it's very math rock. And Spencer Cox, I forget what his name is. The guitarist is like crazy as shit on the guitar, just like weird as shit. Spence Symes, I think it is, and just cool as shit album to run to. Hold Your Horses. Wire, Reuters. Um, let's see. Well, Wire is a band sort of like Minutemen, which has this kind of like driving sound, sort of like Bad Religion, but um, I don't know, moving towards Green Day and modern pop punk, but also sort of weird and zany, zanier than Green Day probably was, and a bit more minimalist and less pop. Let's see, Jeff Buckley, Mojo Pen. Ooh, very, very talented singer. It's a shame he also died, like Elliott Smith. But I'd probably rather, if I could bring back one of them, which would it be? I don't know. Probably Jeff Buckley, because he was a fucking awesome singer. Like, fucking awesome song. I was introduced to this by my friend Dominic. Um, Kate Bush, The Central World. I really love Running Up That Hill. She's almost similar to Jeff Buckley herself because she just has this very lush instrumentation and it just feels like very comforting but also very weird at the same time. Let's see. Fun, Some Nights. Very Queen inspired, that band. Some nights I stay up. Like, I feel like this is rock. Yeah, pop rock, definitely, but. And I like it a lot too because it has a politics to it or whatever, and it sounds epic and stuff. But really limited ways Fun could go after this. Which is why he's a solo artist now, I think. Postal Service, Such Great Heights. I want electronic music and rock to be mixed so badly, and this is one of my favorite songs. It's so cool. I'm such great heights, come down now. Because otherwise you just get like folky shit, which is like, and then like sort of funk rock, like I'm a rebel for kicks, and that's cool. But like, can we get electronic? Let's see, Maximum the Hormone. What's up, people? Fucking love Maximum the Hormone. They're just fucking like crazy, insane, like retarded. A lot of metal isn't like crazy, insane, like retarded. It's too like self-serious, and I don't like that personally. Um, wow, Maximum the Hormone is just like wacky as shit. They're the most wholesome band ever. They're fucking awesome. Gang of Four, Call Me Up. The more rock modern band. I haven't listened to Gang of Four too much, but they're kind of sweethearts, and I like their album with the kind of four people, and their politics is probably cool too. But I wouldn't say they're especially like high on my register of like, oh yeah, I like this band rather than just like the album, and I'm interested about them. But they're good. Swirlies, Vigilant Always. So Swirlies is like a shoegaze band, another shoegaze band. Much talked about shoegaze, like My Bloody Valentine, and they seem to have a pretty cool sound. It seems pretty fun. Uh, More alt rock, definitely. Let's see, Zach Hill, Militas, Paul Simon. Paul Simon is sort of, it's fun. It's nostalgic for me, but it's also sort of like dumb shit. Like he has very interesting music, but I'd say he's like, I don't know. Him and Peter Gabriel both did stuff that I think could like be improved on, but each themselves are like pretty cool. Like the So album and the Graceland album, but I'd say So is probably better than Graceland because Graceland is a bit too much like Paul Simon with cool instrumentation, but it does have an evocative quality to it, like Boy in the Bubble. Kodachrome is also a good song. Seishun Kyoso Kyoku by Sambo Master. It's a Naruto theme. Sambo Master. Seishun Kyoso Kyosuku. Kyoso Kyoku. And it's just very fun. Very funk rock, very driving beat. Good song. Haven't listened to the band that much. Maybe I should. Let's see. The Dodos, Fools. I haven't heard of this band, but it came on, and I was like, yeah, that's a good song. It sounds cool. Definitely. The other songs from bands that I don't know, I probably slept through. But it's a cool song. Sort of noise rock, sort of nerd rock. You know, rock music exists, and there's certain types of rock music some people listen to, and then some others listen to. Pere Ubu, Street Waves. This is kind of like Gang of Four because it's like a rock music that I think there's a lot of talent in it, and there might even be like a unique side to it. Like I like the riff in it. It's kind of like that's not at all what it sounds like, but it's a cool sounding riff, basically. And I like that angularity. I like it's a starting block for something I like, definitely. Fear Factory, Resurrection. Fear Factory is cool. They have a very industrial metal sort of goth sound, and I like the sort of vocals to it. It sounds like it's being sung in a church, like Dino Cazares sings on it. And the guitar and everything else, it's one of my favorite metal bands. And I don't like many metal bands. I've listened to a lot of metal. Shadow Self, Kevin Gilbert. Just very prog. He's almost like Kieran J. Callanan, I'd say, to an extent, but I think he has a band too, so he's different in that way. But he's very prog and kind of avant prog too, but very cool sounding song. Like goes through all the suites. Cool prog song, like Roundabout. Muse, Will of the People. Now this song is sort of like boring. Will of the People, Will of the People. I've talked about Muse already. Yeah, it kind of goes through a lot of bands that I've already talked about. Mars Volta, System of a Down, Smashing Pumpkins, Rage Against the Machine. I have predictable taste. I, I'm a 90s kid who wasn't born in the 90s. I was born in 2000. Evil Line, Cold Heart of the Deepers. One of my favorite shoegaze albums. Very cool, and it's not quite pure shoegaze, but it's like very driving, very weird sound. Not even because it's Japanese, but because like it's just this one guy who I think also worked on a lot of anime, like Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei, is the head of it. I forget his name, but he just makes a lot of cool rock music, you know. And there's a lot of cool Japanese musicians like that who rock music because it's global. It can't be popular just regionally, but it's kind of cooler because it's global and because a lot of people listen to a lot of different stuff. And it doesn't really need to be like mass popular. Drop 19's Angel. I haven't heard of Drop 19s before. I should like note down the bands I haven't heard of to get like to try to see a pattern in them. The bands that I haven't seen before, because they probably like trace out some sort of constellation of what this thinks my taste in music is. Yeah, repeating a lot. Yeah. Badfinger, Baby Blue. It's a song at the end of Breaking Bad. Do. I don't know. It's kind of that pop rock sound, basically. but also sort of blues rock. Very cool like guitar line to it. Do 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 do. My baby blue. It's about meth. It's cool. Lip Service, Elvis Costello. Uh, Elvis Costello has a weird sound. Pub rock, sort of spurg rock too. But I haven't listened to much Elvis Costello, but I like his sort of approach to it, which is more sort of like I don't know. He's a critic's darling apparently, but I like Pump It Up and stuff like that because it's fun and it's like brings rock to where just simple rock shit. Courtney Barnett, Avant Gardner. Courtney Barnett, I like the lyricism to her music, but maybe it's a bit too much lyrics. Like she's sort of like Bob Dylan. It can be a bit unmusical, more kind of like hip hop than anything in a weird way. But not that hip hop isn't music, but it's just kind of like focused too much on lyricism, like a very conscious hip hop album. Uh, Khaki King, Kieran J. Callanan, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Gary Newman, Cars, and Fear Factory also covered this song. Gary Newman, very 80s. A lot of 80s stuff, tried weird stuff with like electronic sounds that haven't quite been repeated, and Cars is one of those by Gary Newman. Graham Parker, Discovering Japan, no idea who that is. Absolutely no idea who that is. Gary Parker. But I'll have to write that down, what that is. Ooh, I'll have to write that down. Let's see, who's next? Ooh, Galaxy 500 by Strange. This is, I wouldn't say it's shoegaze, but it is a slowcore album, I'd say. And so what slowcore is just kind of like a certain like folksy instrumentation, but it's like very slow, and it takes to grunge, right? But it kind of has like a television sort of sound, but rather than sounding angular with that, and rather than being like the Smiths and sounding surf rock, it sounds like folksy. It's weird. It's very good guitar. Um, Pavement, Nail Clinic, Vampire Weekend, Sweet Trip, New Order, Psychedelic Furs, Porcupine Tree, Talking Heads, Muse, Radiohead, Audio Slave, The Stone Temple Pilots, The Smiths. Dreamsicle, Jason Isbell. I'll talk a bit about this because I just went past like 8 or 9 artists who I've already talked about, but Jason Isbell's Dreamsicle is one of the only like 2 or 3 country songs I like, right? And it's just like a great song. It's about this kid whose parents are split up, and it's about this one summer and about how he's 14, like 4 years from then. Like very great storytelling on it. You can just put it on repeat, and it's just like it's both relaxing and it has a certain dramatic element to it. Living Color type. Living Color, it's one of those bands sort of like in the 90s. It's a weird band in the 90s because it's like a funk rock band. No band really sounds like them. Um, because they have this really cool sound with like Vernon White. What was his fucking name, the guitarist? But they have really cool sound and very cool vocalists too. Like Stereotype, Blood Tie, Riddleism, and it takes to it with a almost Red Hot Chili Peppers lyricism, but I think the vocalist is better than Anthony Kiedis. Uh, Different, of course, but better. Uh, Red House Painters, Medicine Bottle. So Red House Painters, another slowcore band. Very good guitar on it. Very cool. Very cool, very good. Very awesome guitar. And also just like this whole emotion to it, you know. Um, it's very good for being depressed too. Better than Elliott Smith, in my opinion. Um, let's see. Yeah, Pet Shop Boys. Another kind of fusion of electronic and rock. I'll have to make that chart too. But this fusion of electronic and rock, it's sort of different. It's more kind of new wave. Weston Boys. I mean, rock and electronic are. When you think of what those genres are, they're like different, right? But they can be pretty similar, right? When it gets to less sort of like riffy rock, more sort of like about the atmosphere of the rock, and when it gets to less dancey electronic music, more about the sort of vibe of it. That's where they intersect the best, I think. Though, I don't know, you can also have like New Order with Blue Monday. I don't know if that would even count as rock, though. Let's see. Right now, well, let's see. Built to Spill, Randy described eternity. Built to Spill is kind of like the microphones. They just kind of have a sound, I guess. And it's like, you can listen to it. It's music. It sounds like rock music from like the 80s, kind of like Sonic Youth. And it's certainly rocking, and certainly people like it, and it's cool. I have no impressions of it. Thomas Dolby, another one kind of like Gary Newman or even Pet Shop Boys, like an interesting intersection of like rock and electronic. Blinded me with science. You probably heard that in the background because right now I'm basically caught up, and what's playing right now is Tune Yards Power. And Tune Yards, I think, is good. I don't know, I listen to too much music. I can't even form any opinions on it because it's like I've listened to too much of it, and I haven't listened to Tune Yards enough to decide how much I like it, you know? And then the next song to play will be Gang of Four. So, how many bands must I have covered in this video? Like 100? I'll have to do like timestamps, but it feels like it has to be about 100 because I've been going for almost an hour and I've been doing one band every 30 seconds, so that has to be around 100. Yep. And this basically covers my music taste. Some bands have been left out. Slipknot, stuff like that. You know, the odds and ends, but that would be most of my top 100 albums, you know. So with that said, I guess I can end the video here.